I am happy, you are happy. Let us be happy together. Whether the weather is cloudy or sunny, I will always be your funny honey bunny. I am lucky, you are lucky. Let us get lucky together. Whether the weather is cloudy or breezy, I'll be there to say, hey, come on, let's take it easy. 'Cause isn't it nice to have the friends that you do? And isn't it nice that the sky is so blue? And isn't it nice to say I love you? Chugga chugga choo choo, woo woo. I am smiling, you are smiling. Let us smile together. Whether the weather is cloudy or stormy, I will still be there in the morning. I'll be right by your side in the morning. I'll make you breakfast in the morning. I hope that you like cereal.
Yay!
Yay! You know, it's
we love our Kate McCucci.
We do. We love Garfunkel and Oates, and wherever they go, we want to like go out and support. If they come anywhere near you, or they have a special, or any of that, just buy their stuff, support them, if only for the beauty of that particular song and the rest of the great comedy that they do. Now, one of the reasons why you and I often talk about sort of the optimistic furor that I think is necessary in a situation like this is because what are people fighting for if not the right to live the life they want, to be happy, to have a life for their children and all this kind of stuff. So when we play those things, I want to make sure that anybody who just kind of stumbles on things doesn't think we're trivializing. As a matter of fact, I think this is what makes it important, because I look forward to you know, when in peacetime, when people can get caught up in television shows and songs and sports teams, that's far better. That is what we are shooting for. No pun intended. So there you go.
You see these Ukrainian soldiers coming back to their homes for a little R&R, and you know they're greeting their kids and they're meeting their loved ones. You know, some of them are taking vows when they get away from the front line, just for a moment of normality. And to remember why it is they're fighting. I saw this beautiful picture earlier this week, and I tweeted it out, of this couple. It's, you know, this woman who was taking a moment with her husband, who was in uniform, and he was about to go to the front, back to the front, and it was very tender moment when they were kind of like, you know, you go do what you have to do. You know, right. I'll miss you, but you go do what you have to do. And I made the point that that's why they're not fighting for some sort of, you know,
abstract,
fabled idea of past glory of the state, which is what Russia's fighting for. They're fighting for a future where they can have a home and a family, and they can care for their loved ones, and their loved ones can have a future, whether it's their significant other, whether it's their child. And that, you know, that's the antithesis of fascism. You know, they're not fighting for fascism. It's this recurring thing that won't go away. They're fighting for the idea of a free and independent country, long overdue, that has been colonized for centuries, and they're fighting for the right for self-determination. And that's as far away from fascism as I can think. And you know, there will come a day when this country will be free. There's not a doubt in my mind. There's no way the Russians can destroy the concept of a Ukraine, which is what they really do want to do. And they've lost that when they weren't able to take Kiev and decapitate the government. They lost a major strategic objective of theirs, and they're not going to get it back. There will be a country called Ukraine at the end of this war, and that's something that Russia was actively trying to destroy and openly, you know, said so. And they're not going to get it. They're just not going to get it. There's going to be a country called Ukraine, and you know, they might lose the Donbass. I don't think they will, but they might. But that. Ultimately, it doesn't matter. Even if they do take 20% of what was the country in 2014, there will still be a place and a country called Ukraine that speaks Ukrainian, that isn't under the thumb of Moscow, and frankly also isn't under the thumb of Brussels or Washington, because I don't believe they're going to accept that either. They've been a colonial power. They know what that's like, and they're not going to submit themselves to that by anyone.
Well, we're not interested. Honest to God.
And I don't think, yes, I agree. I don't think Brussels might be, but Washington is not.
Which is largely an economic thing.
It's largely an economic and a balance of power.
Right. Let's let's specifically, let's grab another question from the chat, because I know where I will take this conversation, and hopefully you can be back on Wednesday, and you and I can get into our longer form conversation
absolutely.
about stuff. But I really want to,
touch wood, I'll be in Kiev.
Mm-hmm.
So we got from Andrea Brower, one of our mods, asked, what's the news on the artillery missile fire from Belarus into Kiev and Lviv?
Mm-hmm.
Artillery fire from Belarus into Kiev the distance is too far. Well, distance is too far for either one of them. But the potential of an attack, again, I don't think that an attack out of Belarus is possible.
Right. Not right now.
No.
They would have to decapitate the leadership they'd have to decapitate the leadership in Belarus, take it over more directly. He'd have to install somebody, and then that person would have to have
even if they did that, the Belarusians would stand up in a heartbeat.
Right.
No, I am not worried particularly about an offensive coming out of Belarus. I just don't see the feasibility of it. And again, I also don't see why expend your forces that way. Strategically, it doesn't make a lot of sense for them, because they're never going to be able to shut the border off. And going for, ultimately, the objective in the West is Lviv. And going for Lviv, to expend the kind of manpower that it would take to get to Lviv, it would be a waste of time when what they really want to do, if they really wanted to bolster and stage a stronger offensive, what they really need to do, and I'm not giving free advice to the Russians, even if they did listen to me, but they would strike back towards Kherson, because if they lose the canal, they're in deep, deep trouble in Crimea.
Yeah, then Crimea is gone. Right, exactly. And that's partly why, the Ukrainians are looking to secure Kherson as a more important strategic point, and maybe perhaps doing a bit of, like we said, a rope-a-dope up in Severodonetsk to draw that attention up there, because the Russians seem to fall for it every single time, because because ego is more important to their military strategy than actually clear thinking or a functioning military leadership. I mean, if that was otherwise, they'd have a functioning NCO, a non-commissioned officer class, and they wouldn't have done put their plan together as kind of what I guess effectively is a shock and awe attempt in the early days, knowing full well they didn't have the ability to carry through with it, and certainly not hold the land after the fact in a country of 44 million people. Again, Vladimir Putin has never invaded or been in a military invasion that involved a country with more than 4 million people in it. Never.
Yeah, and look, all the doomsayers that are out there saying, "Oh, look, they're giving up Severodonetsk. It means the Ukrainians are folding." Nah, 100% no. They are absolutely, the Ukrainians are outclassing the Russians on almost every single front, both literal and figurative. And they're gonna. The counteroffensive has not even when the HIMARS showed up. It was a very interesting statement that came out of the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense. It said that this means that it's going to be a very long and hot summer for the Russians, and for many of them, it will be their last.
Wow!
And that's the mentality of the Ukrainians, and I don't think it's just bluster. I really do think that they're biding their time. They are setting things up, and they will come back in strength. And it's not going to go well for the Russians.
Right. And no matter what anybody says, if you're a country that size and you're attacked by a country the size of Russia, you are going to have to make strategic decisions about land to give versus land to keep. Just like the Allies did during World War II, just like Russia did when they were fighting the Nazis, just like Germany did when they were fighting, as well. You're going to have to do it. You're going to have to make those kind of decisions. It's awful. That's the reality of it. That's also why you don't put inserious, bloviated kleptocrats in charge of that kind of stuff, because even if you do find yourself in a situation where you're like, I'm going to make a serious decision right now that's going to be a tough one, you may not have the gear to do it with because somebody sold it off years ago. I mean, that's effectively where we are with women's rights in the United States. Hard decisions and radical choices are being talked about, ceded ground and captured ground almost domestically, because the ground was sold off years ago out from under you by somebody who didn't really care or didn't think it would ever be a problem. And I mean, that's the lesson of this, I think, more than anything else, is that if you're going to be in this situation.
But ultimately, that's my happy ending, is that ultimately there will be a country called Ukraine. I am very optimistic that they will have a victory of one shape or form. I personally expect that they will regain much of the territory. The only thing that is an open question is Crimea, but even that might be in the cards. Regardless, this was a hugely ill thought out plan by the Russians, and they're going to pay for it.
Right. And they don't have the resource. Like, there's word this week that they were pulling forces from Syria, that the Kurdish forces that are normally pushing back against the Assad-aligned Russian forces were saying that certain areas in the country that were held back by Wagner Group guys and Russian forces are suddenly porous, and they've left people there where there's like 3 or 4 people where there used to be hundreds, because they pulled them and sent them not just to Ukraine, not just to the front, but to the Severodonetsk area, the region around there, which is the least important part strategically of the battle they currently are fighting in Ukraine. That
is 25 miles. That salient is 25 miles. They struck towards Kiev. They got 50 miles into the country within their initial strike. This has been really slow. It's a small part of the country. The Ukrainians have pinned them down, drawn them in, and they're expending forces that they cannot afford to lose. So
that's right.
This is not going to end well for them.
Great way to end the show. Thank you, Johnny Million, for farming our questions from the chat. Thank you in the chat. Don't forget to spank the like if you know what I'm talking about. Thank you, Philip Ittner, and thanks everybody at home.
Everyone.
Thank you, Chicago, and we will see you guys next week. It's the Housemarque Radio program, Mega Worldwide. We're here every weekend. If we can, a couple of, like, maybe 2 more questions, and then I'll let Johnny get on with his day and let Philip clear out.
So here's an easy one, Phil, if that is your real name. How long are you staying in Odessa?
I'm going to leave Odessa. I'm debating whether to go on. Interestingly, either tomorrow night or Monday is my departure date from Odessa. That's my plan. I only stayed extra because I was working on some projects, as I say, and a couple of them sadly didn't pan out, which is too bad, but it is what it is. Interestingly enough, the only trains that leave are overnight trains, and I have to think that that's a security issue.
Sure.
So whereas Lviv or Kiev, I could leave morning, noon, night, but in Odessa, you've got 1 or 2 trains headed north or headed northwest, and they only leave in the evening. So you kind of your options are limited. So.
Thanks, Hal Vickery, by the way.
I'll probably be on the train tomorrow night or the next time.
Hal Vickery. And here's another straightforward one from Carl Smith. How long does it take for you to receive snail mail from the U.S.?
To Ukraine? I couldn't tell you because I've never received any. I would have to set up. I'd have to set up a mailbox, which I'm tempted to do anyhow. But
right.
Yeah.
I have questions, but I also want to make sure we get. Is there any more, Johnny Million? You got?
I do have one more. It's a little intense. It's from Ed's 3D Tech. Has Ukrainians' army communication improved where there's no more blue on blue issues?
Yes and no. They're getting more encrypted radios. But the problem is there's an officer class that is problematic within the Ukrainian army, and it's because they are the guys that are in their 40s and 50s who are hangers on from the Soviet training. They're unfortunately in a kind of a mid command structure. Their upper command structure is very good, and then they have a very good NCO class. And of course, their soldier class. They're enlisted men, basically. They're all really good. The weak link in the chain is unfortunately an important link. And that's the one where it's the connecting between the upper command and your operational command. And that's, guys who in our Army would be the equivalent of majors or lieutenant colonels, were trained by Soviet doctrine. And so they have problems with command and control and communications, but they're working really hard on clearing that up. And they're also getting more encrypted radios to the people who need them. So I'm hoping that is a problem of the past. But I'm afraid, along with the other issue that comes from that command, that guys in their 40s and their 50s who operate like Soviet officers, they're not very good to their soldiers, and their leadership is lacking, even to the point of, like, there are reports of them like not reinforcing areas that need to be reinforced, or even there are some reports of them like taking pay and keeping pay for their own lining their own pockets. Don't get me wrong, corruption is a big problem here, but they're brooming those guys out, and I'm hoping that it gets better. I'm hoping all of those two major problems, the communications issue and the kind of corruption of that level, that strata of officer corps. I'm hoping that they're working on cleaning up. I know that they're working on it. I'm hoping they're being effective.
Yeah, I mean, in every war, by the way, in every major conflict, we heard about stuff. We literally had to retrieve an AWOL soldier in Afghanistan, and trade people for him, that kind of stuff. This is going to happen in extreme situations. The pressure and the extraordinary nature of these things will occur with some regularity because it is so horrifying, the daily experience, especially as time goes on and people are shocked by this.
Now that we're off the radio, I can say this: there are assholes in every military. Right,
of course. And they're
in every large organization.
Sure, right. The difference is it part of the strategic makeup of the situation, or is it pockets of problems that are isolated to a certain extent? And for the Ukrainians, increasingly anyways, they are getting rid of the bad and replacing them with good, and it's part of the strategy to have a unified and functioning system. For the Russians, it's baked in.
Yeah.
All of their problems.
You have to reinvent the wheel when it comes to the Russians.
Right. And I'd like to thank, if I may, real quick, the trolls that showed up in the chat today, because you guys make it all worthwhile. I love it when you stumble on our chat, and it's often fun to watch them get shocked and dismayed that we don't get upset. When my chat goes, "Oh, hello," they're like, "But you're supposed to pearl clutch. You're supposed to freak out." And you're like, "No, we're fine." It's just nice to watch. That plays out sometimes in the chat, and it's like a little mini slice of life play that I'm watching, like an old coward play, just like I'm like getting this, or a mammoth play. Just watch it play out and then it evaporates. So it was a slice of life. So thank you, trolls, for blessing us in the algorithm by being here. Don't forget to like and subscribe, give a thumbs up, all that stuff that I'm supposed to say that I always forget to say. Okay, one last question. Let these guys be on their way. Yeah. Oh, that's good. Okay. Well, then my last question, I guess in this part of it is that at some point, it's not even a question, it's an invite. At some point, since you have land in the Michigan area, Phil, when you're back home for the election, when you go home to vote and all that kind of stuff, I'm going to make a special trip to Chicago around the election, especially to do we're doing a Sexy Liberal show in Chicago, and right before the election, it's the last one before the election. I'll be in the area. If you need a plane ticket, I'll take care of it. If not, we'll just come over. You could drive in.
No, just drive over.
You and me and Johnny Million, and I'm gonna buy you some deep dish Chicago pizza, and we'll take a bunch of selfies and share it with the chat.
I may be on a diet because I got to get rid of this gut, but I appreciate the sentiment.
It'll be your cheat day. We'll line it up with your cheat day.
I'm only like 6 hours drive. That's easy peasy.
Oh, Oh, I've done it. I've done that drive. Whenever I do Grand Rapids doing stand-up, Johnny will know, I will drive in the morning of the show, do my show, and drive back and do 2 shows that night in Michigan. So I know it well. It's not bad. It's pretty. It's a pretty one. Whatever. Maybe,
it's a great drive.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's lovely. Michigan's beautiful. I love Michigan. I'm a Michigander.
Right.
So,
all right. Adore you guys.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
Thanks so much for being here. Go have a great night.
We'll do Wednesday, right?
Yes. Yeah, I love that idea. Absolutely.
Okay. I'll be there.
We're doing. That's fantastic. And Johnny Million, you're beautiful, and I want to have your babies. Just saying it. All right. Cheers.
And everybody
Cheers,
go to
everybody.
my blog and all that good stuff.
Yes, that's right. I will post links to that.
And Hal, if you know anybody who needs a good, if anybody's doing podcasts and stuff,
I'll spread the word, man. I will absolutely. You got it. Good, always.
All
right. Cheers. Okay. See you later,
guys. All the best.
Let them out. Bye. Thanks.
Okay. Bye-bye.
That's it's really cool, I have to say. And on a personal note, if I may wrap up, I know a lot of the chat has other places to be, as do I. I'm not doing the rally later on tonight. I'll probably do it later. If he starts really sweating up a mess, I might jump on late tonight. But I got a project I'm working on with my kid later. We're building a little playhouse for the cats out of cardboard boxes, and my kid's already designed it on paper. And so I'll be hot gluing cardboard later on while my son is the architect of a new playhouse for the cats, which I have to tell you, I'm gloriously excited to be a participant in. And so I'm doing that instead of torturing myself with Trump on this one particular Saturday. And I look forward to when Phil's here on Wednesday. But I want to say on a personal note how much of a joy it is, not only to share my time with you guys in the chat and to look over while you guys are talking about stuff and having, logical, peaceful, and motivated discussions, voicing your concerns and your worry and your anxiety, and at the same time, resolving to continue to deal with these challenges. And at the same time, have my buddy Johnny Million, who I went to high school with, be on my show regularly with me and share that with him every Saturday, getting to see him every Saturday. Because I didn't see him for almost 10 years during kind of the window mid-90s to when stuff was happening a lot around me. And then to have Philip Ittner be able to join us in, from Ukraine, and actually having a show like this, as a fledgling show on the interwebs, be able to have our own Ukrainian correspondent. It's a huge honor, and it's a great thing, and it's nice to be able to facilitate your questions for them. I just think it's awesome. That's all. I just wanted to say that. That's okay. All right, I'm gonna let you guys go. Hold on, I have to cue my own music because it doesn't work in this situation. And I will see you guys on Monday morning for the Hal Sparks Mornings Mega Worldwide. And until then, take care of yourself and take care of somebody else. And remember, you have a responsibility to be optimistically and strategically forward-thinking if you really care about the things we talk about on this show on the regular. And I know you do. So hold on. Thank you for being with me.